Logitech sent me their new Folio Touch keyboard, and it's really nice. It's a good alternative to the Magic Keyboard. Now, this one right here is for the new iPad Air, so the iPad Air without the home button, the 4th generation one. But there's also a version for the 11-inch iPad Pro. Strangely, there is no 12.9-inch version. I find that a little weird and a little... I'm not sure why they decided not to make one for the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. As somebody that uses a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, I wish they did. But this case is really nice. It's kind of a hard shell case with this rubberized material around it. It's got a spot for the Apple Pencil. It's got this cover that you could put over it. Really, it's meant for the Logitech crown. There's a slot right here that you can slide through because the Logitech crown doesn't attach magnetically. So you'd put that there and then you'd cover that up. It's got cutouts for the home button on the iPad Air version, so you can use Touch ID. On the iPad Pro version, there isn't a cutout for the home button. It's a button just kind of like the volume buttons are on this version. That's because there's no Touch ID on the iPad Pro. So they can cover that up, so it gives it a little more protection. Obviously, there's cutouts for the speakers and the USB-C port as well. If we open this up, there's a kickstand that you use, and then it kind of pulls down for the keyboard part. I have really mixed feelings when it comes to using a kickstand on an iPad keyboard case. It makes it a lot harder to use it in your lap because it's not a stable base, but you get the ability to kind of do this, where there's a lot of different viewing angles. You can go really far back, you can come really far forward. Unlike the Magic Keyboard, where there's really not a lot of angle to it, there's not a lot of adjustable angle, it doesn't go that far back. This one goes a lot further back because it has that kickstand. It's not having to balance the weight so it doesn't do a backflip. The keyboard itself is really nice to type on. It's a low profile keyboard, just like pretty much every other iPad keyboard case is. It's fine. It's not bad to type on. I personally prefer mechanical keyboards, so I'm a little biased when it comes to low profile keyboards. I typed on it a lot. I wrote a few scripts out and outlines and things like that, and it was totally fine. The one thing I didn't really care about the keyboard for was the arrow key layout. It has the half height up and down keys, but the full size left and right keys. I very much dislike that layout because I find it really hard to orient my hands without looking at the keyboard. I'm somebody that when I was in school, back in my day, we had typing class, and you had to, they taught you had to type without looking at the keyboard. You need to look straight ahead and be able to orient your hands without looking. And I find this key layout, this arrow key layout, to make that really difficult. Now, that being said, there are function keys, and I've heard from a lot of you that the thing you don't like about the Magic Keyboard the most is the lack of function keys. So this has that. It has the typical media keys, so play, pause, volume up, volume down. In the escape key position, in a typical escape key position, there's the home button, which is really nice. So it kind of acts as an escape key. If you hit that, you go back to the home screen. It also has a lock button, which is really interesting. So if you hold that lock button down, just like if you were to hold the lock button down on an iPad, it would then trigger Siri. It also has backlight keys, so you have backlight controls in the function keys, which is great, and backlighting control for the iPad as well. So the keyboard is great, but one of the things that sets this keyboard apart is the trackpad. This keyboard now has a trackpad because iPadOS supports trackpad and mouse support now. And the trackpad's good. It's fine. It took me a little bit of getting used to because I'm used to the Magic Keyboard trackpad where you can click anywhere. On this one, you can click just about anywhere, but the top quarter, maybe a little less than a quarter, is not clickable. You can't click up there. You can click in like the bottom 3/4 of it, no problem. Again, that's something that took a little bit of getting used to, and I think I'm used to the Magic Keyboard one, so that's why it took me a little bit of getting used to, but after a day or two, wasn't a big deal. The thing that I love about this keyboard the most is the fact that it uses the smart connector. It's not a Bluetooth keyboard, so that means you don't have to charge the keyboard. Unlike something like the Bridge keyboard or a lot of other iPad keyboards, you have to charge that keyboard as well because it's a Bluetooth device. Nope. Smart connector keyboards use the power of the iPad. No, it doesn't use a lot of power. You're not going to see a massive battery hit. The iPad gets really good battery life as it is, and a keyboard doesn't take that much power. But the benefit of this is you don't have to charge charge another device, which is fantastic. I have enough stuff that I need to remember to keep charged. I don't want to have to remember to charge a keyboard as well. Also, because it uses the smart connector, you can just start typing on it and it has instant pairing and instant wake. It's not like a Bluetooth keyboard where you're hitting the space button a bunch of times and finally woke up. We can use it now. I very much dislike that about Bluetooth keyboards. On the keyboard itself, something that I've kind of was a little concerned about and kind of delayed my review of it because I wanted to see how it would hold up is on the keyboard itself, you have this fabric material. I was kind of worried it would get dirty really easily or it'd kind of start to fade or get worn. But I've had this for a few weeks now. I think almost 4 weeks, and it still looks like it's brand new. And I've used it every single day. So I think it holds up pretty well. Obviously, different environments are going to have different wear and tear, and the longer you use it, it could get dirty. That's what, kind of worries me about the fabric material. But the rubber material on the Magic Keyboard is getting worn as well, especially on mine. I use that one every day, and I've had that one not quite a year, I guess about 9 months now, and it's starting to get worn. So you use stuff a lot, it gets worn. If you're a new iPad Air user or an 11-inch iPad Pro user, this is a great alternative to the Magic Keyboard. And I didn't even mention the best part. So the Magic Keyboard for those devices costs $300. This is $159, so almost half the cost. That's a big, significant point that really needs to be made, because that's $300 for a keyboard is a lot of money, especially if it's not going to be your main computer. If it's going to be your main computer, definitely go for something like the Magic Keyboard because it's worth the money. But if it's going to be a secondary or ancillary computer for you, this is a great alternative to a very expensive product.